Hi guys, today we're going to talk about volumes of rectangular prisms. Okay, so the volume of a three-dimensional figure is the measure of the amount of space that it occupies. So it's how much stuff you could fit inside this box. If it was hollow and I was filling it with liquid or sand or anything, how much stuff could I fit in there? Okay, and volume is always measured in cubic units or units cubed. So this is 1 cubic unit because it's 1 unit by 1 unit by 1 unit. And so 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, and units times units times units is units cubed. Okay? So that is 1 cubic unit. Now the volume of a rectangular prism follows this formula. The volume of any prism, really. The volume is the area of the base times the height. Now be careful that you understand that that capital B right there means area of the base. And this is the height of the prism. Okay, there can be multiple heights in this thing because the base might have a height too. Well, it does, base times height. So you actually have 2 B's, the base of the prism and the base of the base, and then you've got the height of the prism and the height of the base. So make sure to keep those all straight. That's why I use capital B's and capital H's usually. So since the base is a rectangle, the area of the base becomes length times width. So now the volume is length times width times height. That's specifically for a box. It's length times width times height. Okay. So let's find the volume of these boxes right here. So the first box, we're going to write down the formula, length times width times height. Okay, so the length would be, and it doesn't matter which one's which really. We'll just say the length is 6, the width is 8, and the height is 5. It doesn't matter what order you do these in, so I can switch them around and do it easily. So if it was me, I would do 8 times 5 is 40, and 40 times 6 would be 240, and this is in cubic centimeters. Make sure you have your units down, because it'll be marked wrong if you don't. Okay, so that one's easy. Now this one is a little bit tougher because you got all these fractions, okay? But it's not that hard. So volume, again, is length times width times height. Always write the formula down. So the volume is going to be 1/5 times 5/6 times 2/7. Okay, so now I just got to multiply these together. Actually, I have a 5 on the bottom and a 5 on top, so I'm going to cancel that because that'll make it easier. Those are just now 1 and 1. And I've also got a 2 on the top, which I can make a 1, and a 6 on the bottom. That'll make that 3. Because 2 will go in there 3 times and 2 will go in there once. And now this becomes very simple to do in my head. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 times 3 times 7 is 21. And this is in cubic inches. So that's a very tiny box right there. Okay, so now you get to do these. So take a minute, pause the video, do these 2 problems, and then jump back on here and see how you did. Okay, so the volume here, length times width times height, is 8 times 7 times 25. Probably get my calculator out for this one. I can do it quickly. Remember, just because you use a calculator does not mean that you can't show your work. Okay, so 8 times 7 times 25, that's 1,400. And this is in cubic meters. This is a very large box. Okay, now I did use a calculator and I did show all my work, so no excuses. All right, next one. Volume is length times width times height. volume is going to be 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4. This is a cube, by the way. Okay, so let's see. 3 times 3 times 3, that's 27. 4 times 4 times 4, that's 64. And I don't think that reduces. So I'm just done with that one. That was pretty easy. This is in cubic feet. Now, if I wanted to change that to a decimal, I could take 27 divided by 64, and that's approximately 0.422 cubic feet. You know, this is an acceptable answer. Depending on what you're doing, though, that might be the better answer. Okay. So 1 cubic foot of dirt weighs about 70 pounds. How many pounds of dirt can fit in a dump truck haul when it is full if the bed is 17 feet by 8 feet by 4 3/4 feet? Okay, so here we got a nice little dump truck, and you know it's 17 feet here, and it's 8 feet wide, and it's 4 3/4 feet tall. Okay, how much dirt is in there and how much does it weigh? Okay, so the volume, that's easy to do. Length times width times height. Okay, so that's going to be 17 times 8 times 4.75. Probably the easiest way to do that. So get out my calculator. 17 times 8. Oops, let's clear it out. 17 times 8 times 4.75. 646 cubic feet. Okay, now how much is that? Well, how much does that weigh? Well, it's 70 pounds per cubic foot. Yeah, 1 cubic foot, 70 pounds. So we're going to multiply that by 70 times 70. That's 45,220 pounds approximately. Now, it's not going to be exact because the density of whatever's in here would be different in different places. So if there was like a rock in there, it would be much denser and heavier than it would be if it was just plain dirt. Maybe the dirt's wet. That would make it even heavier. Okay. So let's make this stand out a little bit. Okay, hopefully you can see that a little bit better. And there you go. So that's about, what, 22 tons, 23 tons almost. Okay, write and solve an equation to find the height of the computer tower. Now this one's a little different because we're not finding volume. We already know the volume. It's right here. So the volume, again, is the length times the width times the height. The volume is going to be 1,702. The length is going to be 16. The width is going to be 7, and we got to solve for the height. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out what 16 times 7 is. That's 112. Next, I'm going to divide by 112. So H is going to be 15.196. So we'll just say it's 15.2 inches. Easy peasy. Okay, you get to do 1 through 21, the odd ones in class. I look forward to seeing you guys later. Have a good evening.